Georgia Ole Miss is upon us. Game day, 3:30 on Saturday. Great return guest, Zach Moreth from the Rebel Walk. How we doing today, Zach?
Trey, I'm doing great, man. Looking forward to this matchup. I mentioned it to you before. Not the best weekend as an Ole Miss fan, but put it behind us. You know, open mind going to Athens, like I said before as well. It's my first time there, so I'm really excited for the overall experience, and hopefully Ole Miss can surprise me a little bit and pull off another insane upset. But again, we'll see, man. The fan base is not feeling too great after last weekend.
I think we're both in the same boat. Georgia coming off a tale of two halves. We're in the same boat. We escaped that win. It wasn't pretty, but I think for both teams, win is a win in this landscape of college football. Move on and just see what happens. I think that's
it's like you really can't apply any sort of like standard to who's beaten who, because it doesn't even matter. Like week by week, you could be the worst team in the country upsetting top 25 teams. So it is a crazy world in which we live in. I'm glad Georgia won too. I think the game would have lost a lot of legitimacy. Obviously would not have gotten College GameDay as well. So super excited. I was actually like a huge Bulldogs fan last weekend. And I'm pumped, man. Again, this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, man. Really excited about it. We'll look at that Georgia game coming up. I know it was controversial. I want to get your thoughts on it here in a little bit on everything, being a neutral fan. But Georgia wins 20-10, and I'll say that first half, I still can't believe the just slow starts. 20 yards total offense, and just couldn't get anything going, and they were just lighting up Gunnar Stockton. I'm surprised the kid doesn't have he slept good that night or a concussion. His head was hitting the back, and you got to give it to Auburn, man. Came out, we couldn't run the ball. Couldn't get anything going, and it was 10-0. And they were on the 1 yard line in the controversial fumble, which, in my opinion, as a Georgia fan, I was sitting back like, I think we got away with one, but if it would have been called on the field, a touchdown and undisputable evidence, I think that's the call. But my thing is, if it was a fumble, why didn't the defensive back who picked it up and returned it? But either way, that was pivotal, and you can kind of tell that took the life out of the crowd and took Hugh Freeze. I think he wanted to say some stuff on the halftime show. But got to give it Georgia. To me, David Pollack, I watch him a lot, former Georgia guy, says they're like Daywalker. If you're a Blade fan, Vampire fan, I mean, you can shoot them, punch them in the mouth, chop their head off, and they're still coming. They're resilient. I was saying they're almost like Rocky, man. You just beat their brains in. My mom said they look like at halftime they got two black eyes and a broken nose, man, and they keep coming, and just made adjustments and completely different second half. Held Auburn ever since I fumbled to 50 total yards, and Gunnar Stockton gutted it out and got the 20-10 win. Also, the timeout, I think we got away with one with that. You can tell Kirby was doing this, even though he was talking about clapping. But when you look at the great gain in the going forward, that they didn't use the other timeout, and we didn't score on that possession, even though it looked a little shady. But anyway, win's a win.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. But anyway, what's your thoughts on it? And did you think it was a touchdown, on your opinion?
It was a weird one. And like you said, I think a lot has to go into what like the original call is on the field, because I don't know. The refs say like they can change it with undisputable evidence, yada, yada, yada. But I feel like majority of the time, like, that original call has a lot to do with where they're going to go with the decision. Even more, dude, starting the game, Auburn defense looks like the 85 Bears. I was like, what am I watching? Like,
exactly.
I don't know. They came out with some juice. So credit to them. Also, their athletic director after the game chewing out the refs. Like there was a lot of emotion on the Auburn sideline. I think Georgia definitely got away with one with that timeout clap dilemma, but again, it didn't really end up mattering, and so it is what it is. But yeah, it's a fun one. I was just sitting there on my couch like, Georgia, please find a way to win this game, because again, from the Ole Miss perspective, if Georgia loses, then if we beat Georgia this week, it's like, oh, well, it's not that cool because Auburn beat them, and then if we lose, it looks worse because Auburn. So it was kind of a double-edged sword, and I'm just really happy Georgia won. Feels like they're in a good spot. If Ole Miss loses, I think it's Georgia at home. It's what do you guys have, like one loss at home in the last 5 years or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of part of the deal. And then that way, now if you win, it's even better for the resume. It's the whole deal. So that was a strange one, but Georgia pulled it off. Weird ref showing. It is what it is. And we're on to this week, Trey. I'm pumped.
Yeah, anywhere you go in Jordan-Hare and get the win.
Yeah.
And nine straight, and I believe we've won 12 out of 13. So
Damn.
I know Auburn fans are just salty, and they probably think like we can't get these guys. Similar to Georgia can't beat Alabama. So same thing there. We dominate all our rivals, everybody but Alabama. But anyway, that's another story.
I'm not going to be surprised if Hugh Freeze gets canned here pretty soon. Like, it's crazy too, because it feels like yesterday they were just shopping around. They were trying to get Lane Kiffin with everything they had, and now we're here a few years later, and they're probably going to get rid of Hugh soon. It is a wild time in college football.
I think and we can get into that a little later with James Franklin getting fired. I think that kind of puts a little spotlight on Auburn. I'm not sure of the buyout, but that was a huge move for Penn State, and that shockwaves to everybody else looking around. And I was trying to ask a buddy at work, he's a big Penn State fan. I was like, do you guys have an exit plan? Do you have a dude, or are you just making a move? So I hope they have a plan. I'm not a Penn State fan, but you got to have a plan.
You have to. And I guess it's a pretty weird precedent for the next Penn State coach, because now you're saying, okay, if we get upset a couple times and we can't beat Ohio State, Oregon, and Michigan, then you have to fire your coach. So if the next Penn State coach comes in and 2 or 3 years in, he has one of those weird seasons like James Franklin did this year, and he drops an upset game, they lose to Ohio State, let's say Oregon beats him as well, all of a sudden you're looking around like, are they going to fire him? So I don't know if it's exactly the best place to be if you're a coach trying to work your way up. Obviously, Matt Rule, I don't think there's any question he's first or second on the list, with Cignetti there too. But Matt graduated from there, met his wife there. He's been a fan his whole life, all these different things. So that's a guy you'd want to pick up. But like I said, man, if Matt has a season in 3 or 4 years where Penn State loses, an upset game or two, then their fans are going to be equally as upset as they're with Franklin right now. And then you take into consideration the $56 million buyout. I don't know. There's a lot there. I don't know if that was the right decision. I know they're happy with it, but it places a lot of pressure on that next coach coming in.
It does. What I was surprised just is, all right, the $50 million, whatever it is, and then you gotta go out and get a new coach, and you got to pay NIL. I mean, I guess Penn State's pretty well off, but it's a lot different setup when you do these crazy buyouts. So that was what stood out to me. And if you look at his resume, I know they were tired of the 9-10 wins, but a lot better than other teams. And, he did kind of come in on the back end on the whole Sandusky mess, and he cleaned it up. And I hear he's a good dude, has done things the right way. So there's that. But I think that UCLA game kind of broke his back. That was bad.
That was a really tough watch, and it is unacceptable, and I get it, but again, like that can't happen, I guess, for that next coach, or else apparently that's the precedent. You have to fire him or do something. Even though Penn State, good team, good program, but they're not like the undefeated national championship caliber that Ohio State's going to be, but it is what it is, man. If I was a Penn State fan, I'd probably be pretty pissed off as well. So I kind of see both sides, but it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds.
And losing Drew Aller for the year, that really stinks.
Yeah, and again, they just paid this Ohio State defensive coordinator $3 million in the off. They were gearing up for their national championship run here, Trey, and now it's October 13th, and they don't have a head coach. It's wild times in college football.
It is. Another name that I heard, so I follow Josh Pate really closely, and he was mentioning, he thought it was a bad move, but anyway, he said a name thrown out as Matt Campbell out of Iowa State, who's turned that program around.
That's a great call. I mean, they're really competitive, and if you can do that at Iowa State, and now you get the funds at Penn State, I think Yeah, that would absolutely be great. But definitely him, Rule, Signetti. I think that's easily the top three.
Yeah, that was impressive win by Indiana punching Oregon on the road in the mouth.
Unreal.
It was big.
I mean, unbelievable. These guys went from basically being irrelevant to they sneak their way in the playoffs last year. Even though I didn't know if they should have, and now this year they turn around, go to Oregon College game day setting, and they take it to them. And also they beat Illinois by like 40 earlier in the year. So
Yeah,
I think Indiana's pretty legit. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then transition a little bit. So Ole Miss gets the win. A little bit of a struggle against Washington State at home in the Grove. I know I watched a little post game, and Lane Kiffin's like, got to try to get these boys up at 11 a.m. And also, I was going to ask. He made a little jab at the student section, so kind of wanted to see what did you see and what worked and went wrong in the game.
Yeah, the students, it's a weird one because Ole Miss, this is something Lane's like consistently talked about for years on end, getting students in the stadium. Yeah. But then you look around and you look at the LSU game this weekend. It's the fourth quarter against South Carolina, and their student section's half empty. But because Lane Kiffin's there in press conferences making a big deal about it, and there's a lot of media attention to it, Ole Miss is going to get called out 10 out of 10 times for that. And then there's the flip side, which is where I totally agree as well. You're voted number 4 in the AP poll. Where the hell are the fans at, dude? You know what I mean? So I do see it both ways. Like, obviously, Ole Miss needs students in the student section, regardless of who they're playing. We're a top 4 team for, that hasn't happened in a really long time here at Ole Miss. So I get Lane Kiffin's perspective, but the media hype and the comments and all that stuff, like, this is happening at a lot of schools other than Ole Miss. It just happens to get light on it all the time because that's what Lane wants to make comments about, which is fine. I think it's both. I give credit to both sides. I think there's a valid argument. But bottom line is, the students got to do a better job.
And then on the game, I watched a little bit of it in the end because I turned and I was like, Washington State hanging around. And was it just a slow start? Was there some turnovers? I did hear you guys left some points on the board, maybe some meat on the bone, as they say. But what was happening in the game?
So Lane, first drive out of the game, that's usually like the Lane Kiffin special. It's a scripted drive. Mm-hmm. It really never goes wrong unless it's against a really great team like Georgia last year. But Ole Miss gets to the 3-yard line. They go for it on 4th down, nothing. So then all of a sudden, Washington State's got a little momentum. They're coming down the field. And at some point, Trey, I know it's Washington State, but you do have to give credit where credit's due. They had a bye week the week before, and they scripted up a beautiful trick play in their red zone to go up 7-0. It looked awesome, unfortunately. They had a wide receiver wide open in the end zone. Then their fans got really into the game. So now you start feeling all this pressure that you've put onto yourself, and it just wasn't good. I thought Trinidad Chambliss, who has been out of his mind, for lack of a better word, these past 3 weeks, was okay, but he wasn't bad. I mean, the problem with these Ole Miss fans is they've set the standard so high for Trinidad Chambliss that if he's making incompletions, they're on Twitter chewing him out for it. And then you go and look at his stat sheet, 20 for 29, 250 throwing yards. He rushes for a 17-yard touchdown, no interceptions. He got the job done. He got the win, period. I also don't think there's a lot of people online for Ole Miss saying, oh, where's Austin Simmons? There is no way you can start Austin Simmons after not playing in a month of SEC football the week of Georgia with Oklahoma coming up next week too. I get it. The fans want to see this kid develop. He was a stud. He basically quit baseball to focus on football. But he came out, and Trinidad came in, and he does things. He brings things to the offense that Austin doesn't have yet. Austin might have a little more arm strength, but Trinidad's ability to scramble and to get out of sack situations it's special. And Ole Miss needs that if they're going to go to Athens and have any chance of beating Georgia with Oklahoma, like I said, the following week.
Yeah, do you think it maybe was a little bit of a look ahead coming off a bye week, 12 o'clock or 11 a.m. kick, and maybe a little bit of look ahead, maybe a little vanilla offense?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it.
Yeah.
But again, man, like there's a point where you're the number 4 team in the country, and the fact that almost lost that game is just unacceptable for everybody involved. So
Yeah. Still get the win though,
right.
24-21, 6-0. Win's a win these days. But big time matchup. Going to be game day, which as a Georgia fan, I didn't want even even more attention on the game, but I know they haven't had it yet. But I believe it's 7.5-point spread, which I'll say I think Georgia's on. They've covered twice so far this year, but Kirby really doesn't care about that. 3:30. I guess what I wanted to ask about looking at the matchup, which is interesting, is looks like you guys are pretty good against the pass, but 96th against the rush, and Georgia's a run-heavy team.
Yeah, it's absolutely
And then
going
also, I think you guys have struggled maybe against mobile quarterbacks, and then for us, we struggle always against mobile quarterbacks. That's why Trinidad Chambliss, if a lot of people don't know about him, is very mobile. So I think that's going to hurt Georgia too as well.
I really do think we're going to get ourselves a high-scoring game, Trey, and I'm pretty excited to watch that. Yeah, you mentioned it. The Georgia running backs are phenomenal. They're going to cause a lot of problems. I see this honestly, somewhere like that Tennessee game a few weeks ago for you guys. A high-scoring game. Ole Miss has played in a lot of close games. LSU was close, but Ole Miss basically physically dominated that game, and I think they're right up to that standard. Not to the extent that they were last year, but there really is not a whole lot of drop off. Not saying that they're going to go manhandle Georgia again. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I think they're going to do enough to be able to hang around and potentially get a win in Athens. Hopefully, it's going to be crazy. But look, the defense, like you said, if they don't stop the run, it's going to be a long day. And same thing with Georgia. If Trinidad's scrambling, running around for his life, and he's picking up yards, and Georgia's not finishing sacks, then it's going to be a problem on their side. I really do think, this is kind of going to be the flip of last year.
You guys manhandled us, put a beat down on us last year. I got to give it to you.
Yeah, that was – it's tough. It's really tough looking back on that one because 2 weeks later we lose to Florida. So it's a good one. It's one of my forever favorite Ole Miss memories rushing that field. But, that'll always have like an asterisk in my mind after that Florida loss. So, but look, again, if Trinidad – if he's back up to that standard, he's going to cause a lot of problems. And on the flip side, if Ole Miss can't stop the run, then Georgia's going to cause a lot of problems. It's going to be a fun game, man.
So looking at Ole Miss, just for Georgia fans here, what would you say some strengths and weaknesses of the team maybe Georgia fans don't know about?
Yeah, I would say the wide receiver DB matchup is going to be really neat. Those are two, in my opinion, electric defensive unit for Georgia and offensive unit for Ole Miss. I think it's going to be interesting to see Kewan Lacey for Ole Miss as well. He's easily one of the top 5 running backs in the SEC. Very shifty guy, a little bit smaller, but very fast as well. And then for Georgia, how's Gunner going to compete? Again, he got banged up a lot last week. How does their O-line look coming off kind of a rough week at Auburn as well? And it's just, again, I think a lot of it comes back to, can Ole Miss stop the run against UGA? Because it opens up their entire offense. And then for Georgia, right, it's how can you contain Trinidad? And how do you limit Kewan? Because he's done some really cool things. I didn't know he was going to be this good. Ole Miss really didn't have a running back last year, and he stepped in and absolutely been running back one. So hopefully he has a great game, but we'll see. It's Georgia. It's a Georgia team who looks horrible in the first quarter of a lot of games, and then they look unbeatable in the second half. So, what version of Georgia are we going to get? Yep. A lot of question marks, but on the road, Athens, it's a tough one. It doesn't get harder. The atmosphere is going to be unreal. Mm-hmm. I'm happy it's an afternoon game, though. I'll tell you that, though, Trey. But, yeah, we're going to get a good one.
Yeah, for sure. If we can just somehow, for Georgia, get a fast start. We can't get in the hole again. You're going to run into the wrong team. This is a top 5 team. And that stat you might have heard last week, and we did it again. That's except for the Kentucky game. it was it 9 out of 10 games where they've been down at halftime in the last 10 games, which is crazy. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know, because now if Ole Miss is up, I'm still going to be terrified. So
yeah, from you guys, I just it's if they can kind of hang around in there, we just you can't get down like we did against Alabama 21 I think it's 21-7, no 24-14, and that was pretty much the game. We shut them out in the second half, but only got 7. So you can't do that, and you're going to run into the wrong team. But if they can just somehow get a fast start and hang around, and they have been pretty good not turning the ball. It was clean last week, and the penalties were low. That's another thing that hurt Auburn. 11 penalties. That'll get you beat
easily.
How's Ole Miss's D-line? Because that was one they manhandled and dominated Georgia last year. That was the big thing. How's the D-line?
It's a lot of younger guys. Pete Golding, I mean, he's done a really nice job recruiting the state of Mississippi, and those are guys that he recruited in his first couple of years here. Now they're starting to develop a little bit. Some solid edge rushers. Suntarian Perkins is a guy who's been here for a couple of years. He was good in that Georgia game last year. Deshaun Womack transferred in from LSU. Princewill Uman-Mielen, who's the brother of Princely, he's really starting to turn up a little bit. I will say the pass rush has been pretty solid. Gunner's got quick feet. Ole Miss is going to have to finish sacks and kind of prevent him from escaping the pocket there and extending plays. But again, like I've said it so many times now, the run, Ole Miss has not played a team that can run the ball like this. LSU absolutely had no run game whatsoever. And I thought it really helped our defense throughout the stretch there. So at some point, they got to bear down here and really prevent that run from taking off and letting the Georgia offense do whatever they need.
All right, Zach. So 7.5-point spread. What's your score prediction? Georgia, Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think Georgia's going to win this one.
Oh, wow.
Kirby's
I think you said that last year too.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. Kirby's not exactly a guy I want to have a loss against the year before. It's unfortunate that it's unfolding that way, even though how great the win was last year. I think he's kind of had this one circled on his calendar. I'm put me on the spot here, Trey. This is good though. I think Georgia's going to put up something around that 28-30 spot. I'll say Georgia 28, Ole Miss 24. And it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a really unbelievable atmosphere. Like I said, first time going to Athens. So feel free to comment. Let me know any suggestions that you guys think. Obviously, College GameDay as well. It's going to be unbelievable. Hopefully, Ole Miss can make it a good one. But again, man, I appreciate you having me on, Trey.
Yeah, appreciate it, Zach. You're going to have a really good time. I know the Grove's special place, but Georgia's awesome. Athens is a great college town. You'll have fun there. Check out all the bars if you can. They got great food, Jittery Joe's coffee, game days there. You're going to have a blast.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pick's going to be, I'm going to be around that same. I'm going to say 31-24, and I can even say that I can see Ole Miss even getting up in the first half as usual. But I think Georgia, resilience, makes adjustments, Kirby and Dan Lanning, 31-24, but it could go either way. I don't think they cover. I think 7.5 is a lot. I'm going to go 31-24 Dogs.
Love it, man. Yeah, like it's pretty on par. I'm kind of surprised by the spread, but
I am too.
That says a lot. I mean, Ole Miss better come ready to this. So,
and then one other one, I guess, just because things might happen. All right, let's say Hugh Freeze gets his walking papers. Billy Napier's 2-4. I hate that. I know he's always a big name. Do you feel safe with Lane?
I do.
In Oxford, there's always that.
Yeah, I do. And he's talked about it, but his ability to kind of settle into a town, not only does he live here, but his brother's now on the staff. Knox goes to Oxford High School. His whole friend group's here. Landry's still in college. She's my year. She's a junior. She's got more time here. It doesn't feel like he's going anywhere. Ole Miss has proven that, especially in NIL, they can compete with anybody. They can go out and get the big name in the transfer portal. They can pay Lane $9 million a year to be the coach here. I'd be shocked if he went to Florida. I really would be. I've been arguing with Florida fans on Twitter for like the past month. So hopefully this can just bypass and not be a big deal, but that's typically the complete opposite of what happens with Lane Kiffin. So we'll see. If you held me at gunpoint, I would say Lane Kiffin stays, but it's Lane, man. You really never know with this guy.
I think he's got a good setup there. And the bars the bar's not really high. I mean, I'm just saying you guys happy with
Right.
him. But I think it's all about staying in a good place. You kind of grow, and you never know. He's got a great season this year, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I think he has the tools to do some great things here. And like you said, that it's not the pressure that you're going to feel it. I mean, if he goes to Florida and he, if he was at Florida and he beat Georgia and then lost to Ole Miss the next week, they'd be calling for his head. So,
Oh yeah.
Like you said, it's different, but we'll see.
Yeah, man. And appreciate you coming on again, Zach. How do we follow you on the online and on social media?
Yeah, guys, thanks again, Trey. You guys can follow our media account at the Rebel Walk. Drop me a follow. It's right under my name there on the screen at Zach Moreth on Twitter. Again, it's going to be so fun. I'll be tweeting for all the Ole Miss people tuning in. And hopefully later in the week, we'll get Trey on our show to preview Georgia as well.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Yeah, check them out. Got a ton of followers on Twitter, which is great. And then also their YouTube as well is over 1,000, which is impressive.
Yep. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks again for coming on, Zach, and should be a great game.
Thanks, Trey. Let's have a good one.